Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of The Effing Title. Today we have my roommate from college, my starting right tackle in front of me for 3 years, one of my best friends. You've seen him in chat as Big John 079. Guess who it is? It's Big John. And Big John, is it okay if I call you JT?
That's fine.
Okay, beautiful. Welcome to The Effing Title, sir. How's your day been?
Oh, wonderful.
Wonderful, good. Glad to hear it.
Packing out my kitchen.
Oh, there we go.
And we had a flood back in November. So we just
Ooh.
spent all day packing out the kitchen. They're supposed to start work next week.
Oh, okay. So, uh, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
So, as Colin said, I was his roommate through college. I play various video games, mostly do it on the PC. Although I just recently, as in today, purchased an Xbox One.
Oh,
And yeah, so I might be joining the Xbox crew in a little bit.
interesting.
And then, yeah, besides that, I'm an engineer, so I have a background with electrical engineering, and I like working on computers and tinkering and all that good stuff.
So that's why. So today's topics are a little bit different than the last few, as you guys can see. The topics for today are: first is food and cooking. No, this isn't a fat joke. Shut up, people. Two, PC building. Three is the new NFL schedule? Question mark. And four is the XFL Week 3. So the first started off with food and cooking. From just looking at me and you, John, you can't tell that we like food, can you?
Food is
Um,
very near and dear to my heart.
yes. So my thing with I was thinking about with this when we were talking about topics and everything, I was thinking about food and cooking. I was trying to think of a way to talk about it. And one of the things that I've noticed, the last two assistants that I've had, both like would not cook.
Yeah, I don't get that.
So this was going to be my question. Do you think that it's kind of almost, I don't want to say a new thing or a thing these days where people are just kind of like basically forgetting how to cook? Or do you think it's just a certain type of people?
I think most people nowadays, from what I've seen, because I work with a lot of younger people at work, they just don't know how to cook and they don't really like to cook. It's like they'd rather just get like something quick, and then like they're more interested in life and other things going on around them.
But
And
and that's kind of how I've seen it too, which is weird to me because like obviously I like within the past, I don't know, I mean, how long have I been living by myself? What, maybe 6 years now? Like in that time frame, I've learned how to cook.
yeah,
Up
I mean,
until then,
you pick up little things here and there. That's how you do it.
yeah, I mean, like
But
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I literally have a piece of paper next to my stove that tells me what times all my food is cooked at because I'm an idiot and don't remember. But it's just
this,
it's one that's been interesting to me though, like just that aspect of it, like how people like almost people would rather pay, like run over to McDonald's or run over to the closest store and buy like a $3 to $5 burger instead of just buying the ingredients themselves and having like 3 meals worth of burgers for $10.
yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Like if you think about like going to a steakhouse, you're gonna pay $20 to go to a steakhouse and get a good steak and potatoes or whatever. For $10, you can do the same thing, and your steak will be higher quality and it'll be the way seasoned the way you like
And that's
it.
and like so now this is the thing. Do you now because of course we're a little bit old school with growing up and our age a little bit. We're kind of in that weird sweet spot where we know how to work hard and we know the importance of working and all that. But we also over time have learned how to work smart. So do you think it's kind of a generational thing as well now with this, where it's like just people are like, oh yeah, let's just throw it in the microwave and it'll be done in 3 minutes and there you go, just eat this shit.
Now, it's certainly appealing to do that. Like I get the appeal of doing that. Like you can come home and in 30 minutes you can have food on the table and like you're eating.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like you got to look at what you're putting in your body too. I mean, you can do that once in a while. That's okay. I do it. Everybody does it. But I mean, it's important what goes in your body. And like you can, if a nice steak that like it's a steak, like you know where that came from. It came from a cow.
Hmm.
It's not like some microwavable meal where they fill it full of preservatives and all this other crap.
Yeah, well, like, and like one of the ones that, like, and I won't say the person's name, but like I've had a conversation with someone before where like they would go out and they'd spend $20 to $30 on lunch. Like, yes, literally $20 to $30 for a one
Oh,
lunch.
it's ridiculous. It's
But
such a
then,
large amount
but
of
like
money.
they would come back with it all, and I'd be sitting there like, you realize the amount of money you just spent on that? I would spend on 3 days worth of meals. Now, I'm not saying that the way that I eat is perfect or the way everyone should eat, but like, when like people are doing, going out and it's like they buy a sandwich, they buy a hot meal, they buy cheesecake, they buy drinks, they buy chips, they buy a candy bar, and then it's like then they're wondering where all their money went.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff adds up. When I first got married with Maggie, like before Elena was around, we had a food budget of like $90 a week. I mean, you can do it. It's not hard. It's just you have to be very careful about what you buy, and you have to cook your own food.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
and that
you can't buy the pre-made meals. You can't buy chips, or you can buy chips, but you'd have to buy the bulk bag,
yeah.
obviously, and just got to be smart about it.
Well, like, and that kind of goes with one of the other things. I mean, like, obviously, it's not a topic for today, but just to bring it up because you mentioned it, is the whole money thing. And it seems like a lot of people are always like, if you want to do it money wise, you can. I remember when I was saving for the laptop that I'm currently streaming off of, I was eating $20 worth of food a week. I'm pretty sure I even told you that at one point. Um, but like I was just looking for deals and I was just doing what I needed to because I needed this laptop. That was the way I was thinking about it. This is something I needed. So I saved all my money and I put $20 into food. It wasn't fucking healthy, but it was money, and I was like I was putting the money where I needed to. And I feel like that's another big thing with a lot of younger people these days is they don't put the money where they need to, or they're always complaining about like how they don't have money, but yet they're okay with spending $20 to $30 on lunches.
Yeah,
You
they're
know.
cutting from the wrong areas, and that's just my opinion, I guess.
Oh yeah, of course. But so we have the first
We have
question.
a question here. Yeah,
Yeah, first question of the night. What's your guys' opinion of gluten? So I'll let you go first before I give my opinion.
I don't understand people, or I don't know if he means gluten or glutton, but I'm
Okay,
gonna assume gluten.
I'm assuming gluten too because it says is afterwards he said I've heard as a proponent of inflammation what carbs grains would you recommend that would not cause inflammation? My thing with it,
I've never heard of such a thing. I mean, gluten is like everywhere. People have been eating it for millennia. It's in every piece of bread you eat, any flour, even uh, like even all the way back to like ancient Egyptians. Like it's everywhere.
like yeah, I feel like it's kind of just another one of those almost I don't want to say marketing ploys, but it's along the lines of a marketing ploy almost, because like the people that are I'm gluten sensitive or I'm this sensitive or this or that, it's like we've had that for thousands of fucking years. It's
Yeah.
the
Now
same
that
thing. It's the same thing with the carnivore diet. You look at that. Every single research, every single thing has said that the carnivore diet is good or keto is good. But yeah, there's always going to be those people that are, this is terrible for you. But it's not though. And there's research and there's evidence that shows that it isn't. You know, like I just today's day and age, I feel like there's so much made about all this stuff where it's like it's to a whole like another level almost. It's not where it should be.
Yeah, and what's more important, like they talk about gluten and inflammation, like as you mentioned there. My personal opinion is most of that's probably just caused by carbs in general and not gluten.
Yeah.
So if you have too many carbs, of course you're gonna get inflammation. It's carbs are sugars, and they break down the sugars in the body, and it's not good for you.
Well, it's
So
like
you have to limit your carbs, and the carbs that you do eat should absolutely be whole grains
right. Well,
because
it's like
that's
it's like. Do you remember when I forgot where it was. I'm gonna try and not incriminate us too bad, but when we were talking about creatine pills in college, right? And like
oh
how
yeah.
and that thing, like how it bulks you up, and then we looked into it, and all it does is retain water weight. Like yeah, it bulks you up because you're retaining water, so so it makes you look like you're bigger, but really you're not fucking any bigger. It's just you're retaining a lot more water, and it's kind of like I agree with that though. I feel like it is like it's the carbs. You know, would you argue that minimizing processed foods and eating whole foods would be better? I mean, anything like, of course, it's one of those things. I'll say like yes, I think that is right. Meanwhile, I have one, two, three, four sneak tubes next to me. I'm drinking some coffee that was probably manufactured in someone's basement. And drinking water that some rat probably pissed in because it's Vermont water. But like, yeah, I always, no matter what, I always would say, to whole foods like almost homegrown foods, food made to yourself, or like if you know the baker. It's one of those I've always said that's weird for me personally going from England to here. I don't know if I've ever told you this one, John, and I've ever told you about the town that I used to live, my grandparents lived in.
You told me a little bit about it, but I don't know.
So in
Not
the
everything, obviously.
in the town square there was a little town. So there's a little town square, right? And then you walk down this one road, and there's just this stores all over the place. But like as you're walking down the store, across like on one side of it, you'll have like the pharmacist, right? Like a Kinney's almost, but in a little like store, like in a mall almost. So you'd have that on one side, and then on the opposite side, you'd have a butcher, and then next to the butcher is a baker. And next to the baker is like a lens crafter, and like
I thought you were gonna say. I'm just gonna say. I thought you were gonna say candlestick maker.
a candle that would be. I mean,
Anyways, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, no, you're fine. The funniest part of this about that, though, is that there is a candlestick maker that was there, but it was like 3 other stores down on the left instead of the right. But like my thing is like it was one of those weird ones for me because it was like I kind of grew up around that stuff, right? So I grew up with being in a town and you can go to the baker and you can go get fresh made bread that was made on that day by the baker, like that sort of thing, or you can go and you can get like, of course, one of the big ones that my grandfather used to get was rabbit. You could go get a freshly, hunted rabbit, like that sort of thing. So it was kind of like going from that to here, where like, of course, mind you, it is Vermont, small, small state, small everything. It's just kind of like that wasn't around, and it was a weird thing almost, you know. But that was always one that I thought personally was a little bit weird. Jeff, why don't you agree with keto? That's my question.
Well, while he's answering that, we could talk about like you mentioned bread. Like you go to the baker and you get bread.
Hmm.
Like that's good. Like you can go to the store and get bread and stuff like that. But one they add other chemicals to the bread that prevent it from getting what's the word I'm looking for? Like crusty or hard or going bad quicker. So they
Yep.
add like all bakers add that to their bread. And bread is the easiest thing in the world to make. Everybody's so scared of it. Man, you can make bread in like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, well it's like do you remember? Do you realize
There's 3
like
ingredients? You can count them out. That's salt, water, and flour.
was like I was about to say
Now,
like
if you want to get crazy, you could throw some yeast in there.
oh
You don't
whoa
need yeast.
whoa
You can make sour bread, but
whoa
sourdough
John,
bread.
calm down.
But like I've done this like for years. I did this. I'd make my own bread dough and just you store it in the fridge and you just
Mhm.
like and you don't even have to knead it or anything. You make the dough in advance. You throw it in the fridge and you let it sit there. And
Exactly.
then in like 3 days you pull it out. Like over time, the proteins in the bread like break or the gluten in the bread will spread apart naturally, and it'll kind of do what kneading does over time. So after like 3 days, you pull out a hunk of bread, you throw it on a plate, you kind of form it into a loaf, throw it in the oven, you got fresh bread.
There you go.
And then you can keep some there for like a week, and you just keep pulling off a hunk, throw it in there, and bake some bread.
Well, it's like almost I don't know if you remember it or not, but like I made freaking mozzarella cheese in Norwich in class one day. It was like a 2-hour class, and then I think I came back to the room with some cheese as well. But like 2-hour class, I made cheese. Like it was like
Yeah,
I'm like I got done doing it, and I kind of like almost sat there, just kind of baffled, like looking at my hands, like what did I just make? I can do this, like it's like it's amazing, just kind of like how far kind of away we've gotten from that sort of stuff where people would they'd rather go to the store and buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that versus like of course it takes the extra time and takes the effort and the knowledge and this and that, but being able to do it yourself.
yeah. I mean, and it's like even like on a work night. So I make a lot of work night meals. Like
Hmm.
you can prep all your ingredients ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
I'll chop up my onions, celery, carrots. Like have all that stuff ready to go. Throw it in a pot. Throw some broth in it. Boom, and then like throw some like chicken and noodles, and you get yourself some good chicken noodle soup. Like it's pretty easy.
Yeah, when it's kind of like I feel like it's one of those things that's like it's overlooked. But like so like of course, and then like you're obviously you're gonna teach Elena how to cook, right? Like you
Oh
know,
yeah, she already does stuff. She helps me stir the pot.
and see, I mean, she probably cooks better than I do. I mean, like let's be honest here.
And
So last thing with food and cooking, before we move on, what's your famous thing? And by that, like I mean, like everybody has that thing that like if I have friends over, I have someone over, it's like here, what's this, or that. It's like so. What would be your like your quote unquote famous thing?
probably, I mean, it's probably the thing often. It's
Okay.
not the thing I like the most though, but it's penne alla vodka.
Okay.
So it's like we put chicken, basil, and then it's just like a vodka cream sauce and with penne, obviously. And it's pretty simple and it's quick too, which is nice. But it tastes way better than it should. Now lately for like home,
Hmm.
we've been really digging it's steak with gnocchis.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
then and you also put like spinach. I think I sent you a picture of it before.
Oh, yep. I think you did. Now that you're mentioning it, now that you're like,
Yeah, there's like
yeah,
spinach and carrots and like it all goes into a pot with like gnocchis, and then you just take some nice steak, make it medium rare, put it right on top, sliced thin. It's good.
that's what's up. That sounds good.
It's quick and it's really good.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it sounds good. For me personally, I haven't done this one in years, mind you. But the one that was my favorite was I used to buy little round eye steaks, right? Nice and easy, very simple to fucking cook. And this whole thing is like the easiest. Like this is the easiest thing I've ever done. It's just you buy one of those, you lightly season it. Don't season it too much. Just lightly season it. Cook it up. Take it out of the pan, and then in like kind of almost like the juices and like the a little bit of the burn that you have from that, you throw in some onions, you caramelize that shit real quick, just even if you don't get it caramelized, just getting them a little bit warm so they're not super crunchy. And then what you do
That
is
sounds
you
good.
take some goat cheese. This is where you take some
Oh man, goat cheese is awesome.
goat cheese. I'm probably butchering saying that, but you take like a slice or two of that and you put it on top of the round eye steak, and then you put the onions on top of it.
Mm.
Man, that like it's not only is it pretty looking, but like the flavors together of the cheese, the onions, and the steak. Oh man! But from but from food and cooking, now we're moving to PC building, and this is one that I have literally zero knowledge of, so this will be good. Um, we are like I already have a question from like 3 days ago, or whenever I said to Jeff, that we were going to be doing this. Jeff's question is: Internet extenders like to get better service in different areas of the house. There you go. That's the question.
Is that a question?
It's a
It
question.
sounds like a statement.
It's a question slash statement. I mean, you take it however you want.
I mean, there's ones you can buy. They're pretty cheap. You just plug them into an AC outlet, and they look like a little. They have like a little antenna sticking off of it. They connect to your Wi-Fi, and they'll extend it for you.
Yeah, like it's almost like a booster, right? Like a little booster thing.
Yeah, yeah. You put it towards the edge of your or whatever room you want the signal in. You kind of put it towards the edge of like your strong signal area for your router. Now, the other thing you can buy is you can buy a router that has an extended range on it too. So
Ooh.
like the router I have is I have one with like the three antennas and it's got like the super extended range on it.
Hmm.
So I don't have a huge house, but I mean I can in any room in my house I got super strong signal. I can go out front, I can go all the way to like the edge of the driveway and I get signal still.
Goddamn. So now Jeff is asking. So like a brand, like. So of course, obviously, this is one of those ones that like you could event or like you can literally just send him a link or two of them but like because so he says steel studs for his basement is really killing me.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
Say I don't have a basement in Florida.
that's true. But yeah, so I
Uh,
mean, just for like the people at home that aren't going to be getting a DM from John here, like what would you like? What sort of brand would you suggest for something like that?
Honestly, you can go with anything. The biggest thing is just look at the reviews. Most people are pretty honest with the reviews. As long as they got 4.5, 5 stars, and it's a reasonable price, and it looks like it'll do what you want, you can go for it. Now, generally, for home use and cheap home use, that's decent quality is like Netgear. You can't really go wrong with that. But I mean, there's if there's one, there's probably 20 brands out there that you can pick from. I don't
You
know anything about Arrow. I never heard of that one.
is that arrow? Is that error? Like,
Error. Did you
um,
forget the R?
yeah, right. I'd recommend getting a coax line and connecting it to an antenna, connect it to the router, and then run it between the upstairs, where I'm assuming the router is, and basement. Put the antenna in the basement.
So that's another option too. I mean, if you're especially with a basement, I'm not used to dealing with basements, but with a basement, you can easily run Ethernet. So you can run an Ethernet line down through your floor into the basement and just run it all the way across. Then you can put a router down there and just have its own router.
Okay, Jeff, you can't be sitting here trying to tell us how to pronounce things now. Okay, we're gonna call it Eero, and like there's nothing you can do about
I'm
it.
just gonna say that's a horrible brand name. It almost looks like error.
It
Like that's
does,
the
right?
last thing I want out of my network equipment, like error.
Um, okay, so my thing was so of course you kind of just answered one of the things that I had written down here for PC building, but I wrote like what to look for. So like when you're looking for, because of course when you building a PC is different than just buying a PC, and that we'll get to in a little bit. But like when you're buying stuff and you're looking to buy different things, what is it that you're looking for? Is it the review? Is it the price? Is it the way that it looks? Like is it a brand?
When you're talking about buying PCs, I mean, it just depends what you want. I mean, the biggest thing is like what you want out of your PC. I mean, you can get a $150 Chromebook that'll do the internet and like streaming, or not like streaming, but like streaming videos, that type of stuff. You can check your email. Like you can get that for 150 bucks, and that might be perfect for you.
Hmm.
But you can't game on that, obviously. So if you want to do gaming, then you really got to take a look at what the graphics are, what um, your RAM that's in there, the CPU speed, and even the cooling and ventilation that the PC offers. Now, with like the big brand names such as like HP and those, I mean, generally you're going to have to go to their gaming lines, whatever that may be, and get a PC from there. And when you do that, they generally jack up the cost.
Hmm.
So that's why most people like myself prefer to just build their own PCs so you can get rid of that middleman. You're just buying the parts direct. And there's a great website. It's called, or is it Build a PC Sales? It's what's that? It's a site where you can like post all sorts of things. Reddit. So you go to Reddit/build PC sales. Like you go on that website, you just kind of every day open it up and check it and read through the pages, and you'll find amazing sales on stuff. And
Hmm.
that's why I build my own PC, because I can just go on that website and be like, I'm looking for this processor, and just kind of check that every day. And then when I find a sale and it's like $100 less than what it normally would be, you can bite and buy one.
Makes sense. I mean, you just can't look around Reddit too long, or else you're going to get to some very weird places that you probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, I generally stick to the build a PC sales. There's other stuff on there too.
So now, like here's a for instance one. So of course, everyone that I know that streams has a PC. I think I'm the only one out of all the people that is a part of, like I would say, a part of my community that streams off of their Xbox, right? So, and I know you and me have talked about this before, John. So if I were to say to you like, hey, John, I want you to start possibly looking at like what a price range or what sort of thing I would want for a PC slash for a PC that's for streaming, gaming, content creating, all that stuff. What are the things that you are going to be looking to make sure are like better than other things that you probably wouldn't normally look for, like that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, if you're talking for streaming and gaming and everything, obviously you're going to need a computer that has like I think you'd have to have a lot of RAM.
Hmm.
And you're going to need a massive amount of storage.
Hmm.
So I mean, you're going to have to have you're probably going to have a solid state drive that's pretty large, that's like decent size, so you can do your gaming on it.
Okay.
And then you're going to have a massive like standard magnetic hard drive, because those are cheap. They're dirt cheap. So you can get like you get a 10 terabyte or whatever for I don't have to look at the cost, but it's probably about $100 or less. And then you could store all your videos and do all your video editing from that one.
Hmm.
And then for video editing, you need a banging processor. So you're gonna have to have a decent one that has multiple multi-core. It's gonna have to have a decent clock speed. And then you're probably gonna need a decent amount of RAM too, just to make, especially for gaming, you need a decent amount of RAM just to help you know I guess it help with speeding up the exchange between the solid state drive and the PC, or the RAM portion.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I mean, like before anyone out there that is a PC gamer gets their hopes up for playing video games with me here soon, don't get your hopes up yet. Just saying. Um, so now this is the thing. Like, so for instance, right now I stream, I do my video editing, I do basically everything off of this laptop that I have. I know I showed you it when I first bought it.
Hmm.
And like, so it would be one of those things where like for me personally, the way that I would almost do it is I would have, if I did get a PC, my PC would be where I stream off of. and my laptop would then turn into where I do my editing and just fucking around with. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I would probably set it up so your PC had like most of the storage because I'm guessing your laptop doesn't have a lot of storage on it.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, most of
Yeah,
the stuff
so you
that I
still have a
have,
NAS drive.
yeah, I still have that. I have that little Toshiba like 2 gig or 2 terabyte drive there. The like what I'll do is I'll download to my PC, download to the laptop, and then I move it over to the little hard drive there, my Red Hood
Yeah, that
drive as
works.
I call it, because I have my bat drive. Which if you guys haven't ever seen me show you guys this, I got my little bat drive here. So I got my bat drive and my Red Hood drive, because I'm cool like that. So then, of course, so let's see. Nick had a. Would you recommend getting an i9 or getting a motherboard that has a socket for the AMD Ryzen 9 390X and buying the CPU and another motherboard more hassle
Hustle.
hassle? My CPU cooler would be compatible with both.
So my opinion is that I'm not an Intel fanboy. I absolutely hate Intel. So I would always go AMD. Every build I would do would always be AMD, and that's just who I am. I mean, Intels are great. They work fine. They generally have better performance than AMD, but I hate that they gouge the market and they gouge the markets for so many years. So it's like a personal thing that I just won't go with Intel. So I would absolutely recommend the Ryzen because it's a great processor and you're going to get it much cheaper and much higher performance than you would get out of an Intel. For much, I guess you get more bang for your buck, I should say. You can get higher performance out of an Intel, but you get more bang for your buck out of an AMD.
So like as you know my old man, right?
Yeah.
You know my old man. So see, this is the thing that's always been weird for me as well with the whole PC versus console thing. With my old man, PCs were for work. They were for personal. They were for work. You don't put games on them. They're for PC and work. Like that sort of thing.
Hmm.
If you want to play games, you go play, your N64 or your PlayStation or your Sega Dreamcast.
Yep.
Throwing it way back now, showing how old I am. But like that's always been my thing. So like I've always kind of had that mindset. Of course, I play TFT on my laptop here. I don't know if Project A. Spoilers for everyone. I don't know if Project A will be for all consoles or not, including Xbox. But if it isn't, I'll probably be playing Project A on my PC.
Hmm.
Um, but like for me, so that's kind of my weird thing with it is that like it's still weird for me thinking of having a PC that is just for gaming. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the PCs. It's never just for gaming. You can do anything you want on it.
Oh, of
That's
course.
that's why they always say the PC master race. They call it because it does everything and anything you could want it to do and more.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
It's
just
universal.
it's like for me, it's just that weird thing. Like I guess it's the thing of me being like it's almost the kid mindset still, right? Like if I fuck this up, then my dad's gonna be mad. Like I was playing fucking. Do you remember the old? You may remember this. Do you remember the old Star Wars game where you like barely are able to move? Like the character, and it's just a little character, and he moves around, and then you can like go off the side of the screen, and you got like laser, you got your lightsaber, and all that. I'm trying to think what the hell the name of the game was.
Was it the old one from like the original trilogy, like on
Yeah,
Nintendo? Oh yeah, I've seen it. I haven't played it,
yeah.
but
So I so
I've
I,
seen it.
I remember playing that when I was a kid, and I fucked something up, and I forgot what it was. But my dad was fucking furious because I fucked up the family PC by playing a stupid fucking game like that sort of thing. You know.
Yeah, my dad was the same way with our computer. And truthfully, it's because the PCs back then, I just think they couldn't handle it.
Oh, of course. No, they couldn't.
So
I
you're
mean,
trying to do something that they can't really handle, and then you quote unquote mess it up. But in reality, I mean, if you had a computer that can handle it, then it wouldn't be any issue.
yeah. I mean, like it's weird because like that's like, of course I'm 31 now, and it's like I still have. Am I 31 or 30?
You should be 31.
Okay, wow. Those headshots there, John, are really coming back now. But yeah, no, like it's always been that weird thing with me where it's like, of course, like I said, I'm fucking 31, and it's like, I like the thought of me getting a PC, playing a game, and fucking it up my PC is like terrifying because my dad's gonna ream me out for like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
I get that.
But okay, so then the last thing, of course, pros and cons: buying fully made versus make your own. And I think this would be an easy one, just for some people that are on the fence of both things. So pros and cons for it.
So one thing I'll say about making your own is it's a hell of a lot easier than people think. Everybody talks about, oh man, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's electronics. Oh my god, no, it's not really not that hard. There's so many videos out there. There's a video game you can buy, a PC builder simulator
Mm-hmm.
that you can just go through and do like a mock build of your whole PC on your computer
That's crazy.
before you do it. And like I guess it's just a matter of what do you have time for and what do you want. So if you want a gaming computer, I'd say absolutely you got to build your own. You're going to pay a lot of money in order to get a gaming computer from one of the big name competitors out there. You can sometimes find a middle of the road or low grade kind of like entry level gaming computer that you can buy. But what you'll find with those is they often chintz out on the motherboard or they'll chintz out on the RAM or something like that. There's something that they're going to chintz out on to make it that quote unquote deal
Mm-hmm.
that you can buy. So, but if you're just going to buy a computer for like everyday use or for school use or whatever the case may be, then you're better off just not building your computer and just buying from the big name brand and just buying like a business computer.
Yeah.
You'll get a decent deal on it and it'll do what you want it to do.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like when I bought for everyone out there, I bought this laptop, this Omen laptop for two reasons. One, it was when I was coaching, so I was like, I want a computer that I can use for coaching. And I was watching the Overwatch League, and they just constantly kept showing this fucking laptop, kept showing it, kept showing it, kept showing it. And I was like, that's cool looking, I like it, I'm buying it. And then I was like, it's a gaming PC, so it's gonna have enough to do all the normal shit that I'd want to do on, just coaching stuff. So, that was my thinking behind buying this one anyway. It still fucking works. It's still just banging along. So
Yeah, and that's the idea. It's like so when you buy a computer, I always think you should buy for more than what you think you're going to need it for.
yeah,
So if you think you're just going to need to surf the web, I'd buy it for like entry level gaming. That
hmm
way, when you surf the web, you'll never have an issue.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like that's the thing.
It's
Like,
going to be overpowered for whatever you want it to do.
yeah, I mean, and that was my thing. Is like I have to make plays on this. I need to write a playbook on this. I mean, like the biggest pain in the dick for me was I had to buy the Microsoft Office packet. Like that was the biggest pain in the ass for me. Um, But so that's the PC building part. So now we're moving on to the part that John is the most knowledgeable about, the NFL.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
Um, so have you heard any? Have you heard? Well, this is one of the reasons why we were gonna have two guests. Unfortunately, something came up, so we couldn't. Um, but this was why the second guest was going to be here, is for this last bit of this talks. Instead, John's gonna do his thing, and we're gonna get right through this. Hopefully, my frames will stop fucking dropping as well. Um, so have you heard about the new proposed schedule change, John? I don't know if you have, just being a
Nope.
okay. So there's a new There's a new idea for a schedule change, and it's very interesting. They're gonna move to 17 games instead of 16. So that's the first big change. It would turn from a 17-week season to a 19-week season, because they're gonna have 2 bye weeks.
Hmm.
And then what they'll also do is for the playoffs will now be the number 1 team is the only team that will have a bye round. 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5.
So there's the number one of both the AFL and the AFC and the NFC.
Yeah. So the number one,
Okay.
the number one in each one of them will have their bye week. Will have
Okay.
will have the first round bye. So there won't be 2 first round byes. So basically, if you're the number 2 and down team in your conference, they're adding 2 more games, and they're getting rid of a preseason game. So, of course, this is just from knowledge of us playing in college, would you have liked to have been told, hey, we're going to add 2 more games to your schedule, possibly? Meanwhile, there's all this, talk about the health effects that are happening in the NFL and how they're looking out for player safety and all this and that. And then they tell you that they're going to take away a preseason game, which is a warm-up game, and add a legit another game or 2. How would you feel about that?
On some, I mean, I guess in my opinion, I'd be a little annoyed
Hmm.
because I mean, they right now the way I see it is they're extending the season potentially
Yeah,
by a couple of games.
so they said that
Are they going to increase their pay?
no.
I mean, if they're going to potentially be playing more games, right, they should be increasing their pay.
Yeah, so like, and that's like it's the things that are being overlooked right now is the fact of it that it's not just a change to the playoffs; it's a change to the regular season too. So they're going to be adding another game to the regular season, and there's going to be two
Right.
bye weeks instead of one. And one of the things that I read was that one of the things that they'll do is that new game that they'll have will be an international game. So every single team will play international.
I mean, that'd be cool. I'd like to see every team play international, but at the same time, like if you're adding another game, it's hard for me to argue for paying somebody who's getting multi-million-dollars a year
Hmm.
more money. But if I put it down on my level and I'm like, you want me to work 8% more in a year,
Yeah.
like I'd want 8% more pay.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so I don't think they're going to do that. So in my opinion, as a player, I don't like the idea.
Would so
Now,
so.
as a fan, I
Mhm.
like I like the idea, and I'd like to see that happen.
So
I think it'd
so
be cool to have an extra game.
yeah, so Jeff brought up a point. The pay technically will increase, which he does make a good point because as players get better, the cap for that like position increases every time. So technically, people will always be being paid more, but like that sort of thing.
Yeah, but
Um,
they're not getting. They're not. I doubt they're going to get like an 8% or whatever bump, or
yeah,
whatever it works out to for however much more
I
time they
just
need to spend on that game.
I agree with you. Like I think more football's good for the league. I think like, the whole thing with the XFL right now, which we're going to get to in a little bit, I think it's incredible. But they said they're going to make, as far as the NFL, make 0.5% more. Ooh, okay, interesting. My thing with it is that like we've been talking player safety for how many years now? Like serious player safety. How many years has that been in the public media? I mean, what, the last 5 years? And
At
now
least, yeah.
and now they're gonna tell them like, hey, we're looking out for your safety. By the way, we're adding two more games. It's kind of like
I mean, I don't follow this very closely, but I'd be interested to see what some of the big name players think about it.
the ones so far that I've seen have basically just said like almost, well, not almost, but they've said the same thing. They've been like, look, like you will talk player safety, but then you're gonna add more games to our like schedule, like that sort of thing. And
Yeah,
like I like it's one of those things like you said earlier, it's hard to argue um with people who are making millions upon millions of dollars a year to play a sport, to play sport. But it's like I agree, like it's like I agree with them though. Like we're talking about player safety, and then it's like, oh, by the way, we're going to add. Not only are we going to add another game, but it's also possibly going to be a game in another country.
right.
You
So
know.
there's gonna be travel involved, and people are gonna be tired, and I mean potentially get more injured.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it's like the thing about like you travel. There's the visas. There's the random occurrences that could happen in another place. Any sort of disease or outbreak that's in that area. Like all these different things would come into play too. You know.
Well, hopefully they don't go to China.
Oh, of course. I mean, um, let's see here. Which will increase the salary cap, which will be more likely pay higher for the bigger players. Also, they're looking to increase the minimum too. If all those things are right, Jeff, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, as
But
long as they
it's
increase everything proportionally, then I think it makes sense. And as a player, I think they would be more open to that.
I just
They
my
may not like it for safety reasons, but they'd be more open to it.
like, and that's my thing. Is it's like it's my thing is more like I'm thinking more safety like thing, right? It's like I said, we've been talking for so many years now about hey safety, 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 and now it's like oh by the way safety, we're adding two more games to your schedule basically.
Yeah,
It's an interesting proposal. I would like to see them. I'd like to see kind of almost how it would work.
yeah.
Um, but going from NFL to XFL, John, are you an XFL fan by any chance? Have you watched any XFL?
I have not watched any XFL.
No.
I don't have cable, so
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's on. What is it on ESPN?
It's on ESPN. It's on Fox Sports. It's on all these things.
Oh,
Yeah. But I feel like feel like it's like minimum wage increased, but the people already making over that don't necessarily get paid an extra. It is interesting all around. I mean, that is the big thing with it. It's just like the whole proposal of it is interesting. Um, but moving on to XFL, interesting week this week in the XFL, John. Actually, a really interesting week this week. First game we had was the Houston Roughnecks versus the Tampa Bay Vipers. It was 34-27. Sturge is a Vipers fan. John, we're going to have to find you a team that you can start following.
Does New Orleans have one?
No. So the teams are Houston, Tampa, Dallas, Seattle, New York, St. Louis, DC, and LA.
I'd probably wind up with Tampa just because they're the closest to me.
All right.
Root for my hometown team.
So that's so you and Sturge are now both following Tampa then. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that one, John. I mean, Jeff, I got that on the screen right here. So Houston versus Tampa this weekend. It was 34-27. And this is from a team that is, one, dominating the league in Houston, and two, Tampa, that's not doing well in the league. It was a 7-point game. Mark Trestman, their head coach, is no longer calling offensive plays. The offensive coordinator is calling plays. So big change there, and it showed in the scoreboard. PJ Walker and Cam Phillips for the Roughnecks is a scary combination. John, for the last I think it's the last 2 weeks, they have 3 touchdowns. And this is the wide receiver quarterback combo. So like for the last 2-3 weeks, they've like 3 touchdowns each week. Like
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I guarantee 21 points going against these guys.
Well, and it's absolutely nuts. It really is. It almost doesn't make sense when you're watching it. Like it's NFL level chemistry, NFL level scary. One of the words I heard this weekend was "people's choice," and that was talking about Quentin Flowers, the quarterback for Tampa Bay. He went to UCF. So that's also near you.
Yes.
So of course he's the Tampa Bay quarterback. So of course Tampa loves him. Kind of the hometown kid. And fucking wow, is he electric when he gets in? He's a mobile. He had a good few drives, and like I said, Tampa Bay looked good, man. It was a 7-point game. Tampa Bay looked really good. It was just they just didn't have enough. And you could tell, like, Houston is just so locked in. Like, they have the MVP right now of the league in PJ Walker, and they were just locked in. Everything was working. It was just, this is what they do, Second game we get to is Dallas Renegades versus the Seattle Dragons. It was 24-12. We kind of talked about it a little bit last night. Me, Jeff, and Sturge did. Because Megan is a Seattle Dragons fan. She fell asleep during the game and then woke up and saw that they were winning and was like, yeah, Dallas, suck my dick or something like that. So, absolute hilarious,
She gets into it.
Oh, yeah, she's like fully into it. So, I'm still not sold on Landry Jones. This is a guy that's from Oklahoma. He went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's now the starting quarterback for Dallas. Dallas won this game 24-12. I'm still not sold on him though. I don't like him. He threw 3 picks today. He
gets it done, but
like guys, it's an ugly get it done,
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things. Like I'll say a stat here in a little bit that like you're like, so the Dallas Renegades had 3 turnovers and they won by 12 points. Like how many times do you?
Pretty amazing.
That's what I was gonna say. Like how many times? Like John doesn't follow football that much, even though we played in college. Like even like that though, 3 turnovers. It's like that's a death sentence for most teams, And these guys had 3 turnovers and won by 12 points. Like
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. A Proel. Sorry for fucking your name up 4 times just then. Wide receiver for the Dragons, still looking great. Like the one shining spot of the Dragons is that guy. Just wide receiver making great catches. Had another touchdown this weekend. Seattle just kind of making timely mistakes. Like it would be like 3rd and 3, and they'd mess up and they'd have to punt the ball. you know, or it would be like the worst one, and it was one of the main ones that I saw was I think it was 3rd and 5, quarterback hits the receiver. It hit his hands. It was a little bit behind him, but it hit his hands, and it just like immediately just popped right out. And it was one of those,
Jeez.
and it was just for me. It was one of those things where I was like, I've always said, like if it hits the receiver's hands, it's on them at that point.
Absolutely. 100%.
You know, like this
You have
thing.
one job is to catch the damn football.
Yeah, like it hit this dude's hands and it just down. You know, Cameron Artis Payne is killing it. Probably one of the best backs in the league right now. Just looks great in the air raid offense, which is hilarious saying that. A running back running the ball looks great in an air raid offense. It's all sorts of weird. Dallas is a weird team, man. Also, we have a highlighted message here. It says, I know this isn't the best time, but please let John know I'm sorry. I always die whenever he starts watching me on stream. So there's the highlighted message from Booba Black Ops 72. He's on Mixer, he's on Twitch, he's on YouTube. Make sure you guys go follow him. He's one of my dudes. We started streaming together. So make sure everybody.
So, I haven't watched him in a while, so I'm assuming that he's been immortal the last few times.
Well,
last few days.
he did tell me earlier that he had a game of Apex a little bit ago where he had like 2,000 like damage. He had like 8 kills. He won. So like.
So it's probably a good thing I'm not watching. I haven't been watching him lately.
Maybe that like maybe just that voodoo is coming over to Jeff and Sturge now. Maybe that's what it is. So now we get to today's games. We got the New York Guardians versus the St. Louis Battlehawks. I'm a Battlehawks fan, everybody. Have been since the XFL draft. Yes, there was a draft. It was awful. The Wildcats had some dude in the corner of the room who every time they made a pick, like they would make the pick and they'd be like, "We have picked this team and this player," and you would hear people clapping, and you would see one dude in the corner just go, "Wow."
Oh, there is one thing. I don't know what team it is. What team is all blue? There's like a light blue.
Either Dallas or Battlehawks, one of the two.
What have been Dallas? I saw one video about the XFL. I forgot. I wanted to check this. So the guy got a touchdown, had the football in his hand, I think, went over to the stands and traded the football for cookies.
Yep. So that was the
That
Battlehawks.
is awesome.
That's the Battlehawks. That's my team. So in the game today, there was a little girl in the crowd holding up a sign that says, "I'll trade Thin Mints for an XFL football." A offensive lineman from, I think it was either it was a defensive lineman, I think. It was a defensive lineman for the Battlehawks, went over, gave the little girl a football, got the Thin Mints, and then he like walked over and he like rubbed it on his shirt and then ate it. Ate one of the Thin Mints. It was beautiful. It was one of the things that makes the XFL the XFL. It's such a fun league, man. I'm having so much fun watching it. So the Battlehawks won today, 29-9. New York, I regret everything I said in the week 1, episode 1 of my fucking podcast where I said, "Wow, they're looking really good." New York is New York. It doesn't matter what the fucking football team is. Apparently, they suck. You had players blowing up. You had a center get benched. You had a center almost get kicked out of the game. The quarterback's still running his mouth. They went down to their 3rd-string quarterback because all the quarterbacks suck. It was a nightmare, man. It was so much fun watching it as a Battlehawks fan. Battlehawks have to establish the run, though. That's the big thing. They're like us from college. They're a spread team that likes to run the ball at people. It's beautiful. It's beautiful watching it, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful watching it, but it's beautiful watching the pro, like quote unquote, the pros do it. You know, because it's another level.
Yep.
We had our first ever kickoff return touchdown in the league. So the kickoffs, John. The reason why this is a big thing is because the kickoffs are different in the XFL. The kicker and the returner are the only two people that can move before the kick and during the kick.
Really?
Yep. So the return team and the kickoff team are at the 30-yard line and the 35-yard line, standing still. As soon as the returner gets the ball, then the kickoff team moves and the kickoff return team can react to them.
That's interesting.
It's really interesting. I've actually been really enjoying it, and it's one of those things. If the kick doesn't make it past the 20-yard line, it's a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really fun new twist to kickoff because they wanted to keep kickoff in the game, but they wanted to make it safer, kind of thing. And these guys came up with a way to do it, and it's just as fun. And today we had our first ever touchdown on a kickoff return from the Battlehawks, and it was ender like reverse, and it was beautiful. The only thing I will say though, and it pissed me off as an old special teams coach, was the returners running down the sidelines, and there's a guy that's on his team running right next to him, right? And there's a defender running up behind the guy. The guy that's next to him is just like staring at him, like looking at him running, like, yeah, you got this. Like, yeah, we scored a touchdown. Meanwhile, the defender is like running up, like, I'm about to push this dude into his dude and just fuck this whole thing up. And like, it almost got pushed out of bounds at like the 3-yard line. It was almost like if that would have happened, I would have lost it. I would have been so mad. But that happened, and then they had a punt. They blocked a punt later in the game too. So just all sorts of mayhem happening. It was beautiful. It was beautiful watching it. It's Battlehawks just running over people, doing whatever the fuck they want. And then right now we have the DC Defenders versus the LA Wildcats. DC Defenders, John, is one of the best teams in the league. Their quarterback week 1 threw 2 passes, and the crowd started chanting MVP. They're currently losing 39-9.
Wow.
This is the first game on the road. Their first 2 games have been at home. This is their first game on the road.
So I assume they're undefeated?
Yeah, they're undefeated. Cardell Jones is their quarterback, Ohio State quarterback. He has never lost a game that he has started.
Wow.
And
that's quite a statistic.
Let me rephrase that, because I don't know if he did in high school. He's 13-0 being a starting quarterback since Ohio State, is the way that I remember reading it. So I think he went 11-0 at Ohio State, and then he went 2-0 so far in the XFL, that sort of thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's thrown like 3 picks. He looks rattled. He doesn't look good. I want to know where the fuck this LA Wildcat team has been. Like the one I'm seeing right now, because it's terrifying watching this. Their defense is starting. This is the other thing. Cardell Jones has thrown. I'm going to take a look real quick to make sure I'm not messing up the number. He's thrown 4 interceptions.
Wow.
Yeah. He's thrown 4 interceptions, and I can tell you right now, 2 of them are to backup first start ever cornerbacks. Yeah. So it's not like he's like throwing against like veterans. He's throwing up against guys that are like brand new, never played, like that sort of thing.
So either they're just like diamonds in the rough, or
he's
just not that good.
I feel like he got rattled. They're on the road. He got rattled, and like just watching that play calling, watching him play, watching the line play, it looks like they're lost and confused out there. It looks like they left their team at home. I mean, I think we've had that happen to us in Norwich a few times where like we looked good throughout the week and then we traveled and it was like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened?
Yep.
I mean, mind you, yeah, and I was gonna say, mind you, that was the first 2 years we were there, not the last 2. Man, those are some fun days. Yeah, those
first 2 years. Those were just rough. There's no other way to play it.
What we were fucking, what was it? We were 4-16 or something like that.
Yeah. We were playing against guys that are way out of our league.
Yeah, guys that the only reason why they're not in Division 1 is because they're idiots. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just it's weird, man. Just watching it, it's just like it doesn't look like the team that you've seen for the last 2 weeks. Sort of thing. But yeah, that's the XFL week 3. It's still doing really good, man, which is great to see because more football the better.
I have to try to catch some games. If they have some that are like on like over the air, I could potentially get them like with Fox or something.
Yeah, so they have some on Fox Sports. They have some on ESPN.
Was it Fox Sports or Fox?
No one heard me say this, but I might be able to send you a link. But yeah, it's a lot of fun watching them. Let's just put it like that. I've been enjoying it. I kind of got into it before, Jeff and Sturge and all those guys, but it seems like those guys are all enjoying it too. And I suggest anyone out there that like just check it out, try it out, see what you think. But that's kind of the end of the topics, unless there's anything else that you would like to talk about today, John. I'm almost done with my coffee, which is weird.
You drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night?
Damn right I am. I've been doing it the last few weeks.
Ah,
Was one of
crazy,
those
man.
was one of those things like me and Sturge talked about it afterwards from his podcast last week, where like now like having guests on, I don't have to be continuously talking so much. So I can have a coffee. Where like before, like I was drinking like 3 sneak bottles full of water because I was just trying to rehydrate myself so much. But like now that I have someone else that like can talk for a little bit, I can actually like enjoy a coffee. And I drink coffee at night. I don't know what it is. I can drink a coffee at 11:30 and go to bed at 12.
Not me. Also, I stopped drinking caffeine altogether. So
And okay, so that's one of the things I wanted to ask real quick before we get off. Why?
why?
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I feel better without it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it was really rough. Like I went like 1 week without caffeine. Like it was like you get the withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
But then like after that week, it's like I realized I don't really need it anymore.
Look at that.
And it's like I just feel better.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's the big thing is as long as you feel better. What about the Tyson Fury Wilder fight? Fury kicked his ass. I thought he would. You seen the size of that motherfucker? Jesus Christ! It looks like
Is
a
this boxing?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Tyson Fury looks like a literal giant. Like the first fight that they had, I think it was a tie, or whatever the fuck a boxing equivalent of a tie is. So they had a second fight, and like Tyson Fury like knocks him the way that I saw it anyway, because I didn't watch it. I just seen some clips. The way that I saw it was it looked like he knocked him down, and like he was like trying to get up and fell back down or something like that. And like it was like there, it's done. Fury wins, like that sort of thing. But it's like you get 2 guys that size fighting. It's just it's that terrifying thing of 2 giants fighting. You never would think to see that. But yeah. So if that's that.
Yeah.
See now,
I mean,
now I drink the water.
I could tell you about my awesome deal I got.
Sure, go right ahead. Let's.
So why I have an Xbox One? I
Yeah.
give you the backstory.
Yep.
I went to the video game store.
Okay.
Went to a place called Hudson Video Games. I think it might be a local place. I don't know. If they
Okay.
have any
Shouting out Hudson Video Games. All right.
Yeah. So I went there because they said they pay more than the what's it called, the
GameStop.
GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, brought in my Wii. I had an old Wii that Maggie had for years, and like a couple games for it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it in there. I'm like, I looked it up, and like GameStop said they pay like 12. So I'm like, let's see what these guys will pay. Like $12 that is for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Of course. Yeah. Shocking.
see what these guys will pay.
Yeah.
The guy's like, they're not worth a whole lot, but he's like, I do move them, and he's like looking at his computer, and he's like, I'll tell you what. He's like, I could do like 40 for like all the games and controllers and stuff you got, cash, or 120 store credit. I'm like, 120 store credit. I'm like, I don't know if there's anything I want here because they mainly do retro games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, what do you got? Like, do you have? I'm like, I was hoping to pick up like a Switch game, maybe. Like maybe I'll pick up Overwatch for it. And he's like, nah, we don't have any of those. Those are all new games. So I'm like, well, what do you have, an Xbox One? And the guy's like, hey, we got 2 of them. He goes over and shows me. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you this Xbox One. We'll cut it down $100, and we'll give you the $120 credit or whatever. So like, wound up only costing me $60 for the Xbox One with the controller.
God damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
like, that's not a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal at all, considering that GameStop was going to give you $12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonder that place is wondering why they're going out of business, right?
Yeah, no kidding. But so you may see me online at some point. Right now, we're gonna have to deconstruct my entertainment system. So I may not have an Xbox online for a while, but when I do, I may be online at some point.
Interesting. Well, I mean, if that happens, the first thing we're gonna have to do is
What's that?
we're gonna have to grind you an account up to 25 so you can start playing comp with us.
And what, Apex?
No, well, I mean that too. I mean, but Apex. I was talking about Overwatch, but
Oh God, Overwatch. Ugh.
well, I mean, it's just over 25. That's like maybe a week of playing 3 times a week.
I don't know. Between going from PC to that, I think it'd be really difficult to transition.
I don't know. So I feel like your game sense would be okay. Your game sense would be fine. The actual controller could be, but it's easy after that. And Jeff just said, "Let's go for." I'm assuming Jeff's probably saying that for Apex. So one of the other games now, actually, now that you said that, one of the other games that is coming out soon here is Bleeding Edge. Oh, shout out to Bleeding Edge. How about this? It's a game that I played recently. I played the beta of it, and it's like Overwatch on drugs. If anyone hasn't watched my YouTube video for it, and plugging the YouTube channel, it's like Overwatch on drugs. It's fucking nuts. But the reason why I bring that up though is because that is 4v4. So technically, then that would be you, me, JT. I mean, geez, yeah, you, me, JT. You, me, Jeff, and Sturge could all be on one team.
The big sloppy team.
Yeah, just the big team. Just getting after it.
Jeff has to change his name to Big Fedge though.
That's the thing is I need to figure out how we can change everyone's names so we can do
or like Big El Jefe.
See, I love the of course I'm just saying this because it's my thing, but it's like big the number, then the thing, then the number. Like if I could get everybody to do that, I think that'd be fucking incredible. So like for Sturge it'd be like big 52, sloppy 52. Like that sort of thing.
Is this game on everything? Because Bubba
he just
so he says cross-platform.
Yep, he looked at it earlier because I mentioned it to him and I showed him a clip from it from my YouTube video. Yeah, it's going to be cross-platform, or apparently that's what it says. Yeah, that's what it says on the website anyway. We'll find out, when time goes on. But no, it was a lot of fun when I played it. If you guys haven't seen it, I would highly suggest checking out my video for it. Just because it was so much fun. But that's awesome. That's a great deal, man.
Yeah.
And fuck GameStop.
Pass that up. Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. It's like, here's $12, and the other guy said, here's 10 times that amount.
Yeah. It's the same thing as always. I've seen a mother go in, buy a game, walk out of the store, go to her car. The kid said it's not the right game. Her come back into the store, and they said that they can't take it back now. Like they can't give her full credit because she left the store, like that sort of thing. I'm sitting there like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like I'm in the store hearing this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave. I was like, I'm gonna go to Walmart, see what they have over there. And the best part was I found exactly the same thing, and it was cheaper.
Yeah,
but
so that's, and then they open up all their games and take all the CDs out.
Yeah,
you can't get that new game smell.
Yeah, right. It's like freaking assholes.
That plastic chemically smell that's probably destroying brain cells.
100% destroying brain cells.
But it's like iconic.
Yeah.
They take that away from you.
Bastards. Right, guys, that is the end of episode 3 of The Effing Title. Thank you, John, for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Next week, we will be, I can tell you right now, guys, next week's podcast, we will be talking a little bit about the NFL Combine. That will be happening this week, so that should be fun. So we'll talk about some good parts of that, some bad parts of that, talk about the XFL again, and then depending on who the guest is, we'll see what else we'll talk about. Closing remarks, John. You got anything to say? Closing remarks?
Cook your own damn food. Build your own damn PC.
There we go. How about that shit? So, because I don't know where anyone is when they watch this, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Stay out of trouble, and we will talk to you guys all later. Bye.